asleep amidst the trees.
No. Sigmar forbids this.
And we're back with more Immortal Empires with Isabella and Vlad. So we've started pushing westward into the Empire. We've taken the Moot, taken a little bit of Stirland. Avalon has declared war on us though, so we want to see if we can finish off one or both of them pretty soon. We've got one Bloodline Lord available, so we're going to grab him to protect our flank. Thanks to the raised dead mechanics of the undead faction, we can quickly give him a sizable, albeit cheap, army. Though you have the options of buying some really expensive stuff as well. Okay, so he can hopefully defend the Moot from an incursion, while Isabella and our Necromancer tag-along can push forward. In terms of buildings, we're still mostly looking at anything that's going to give us wealth first, growth second.
Soon I'll be all
I find there's really very little point to buying the recruitment buildings for undead. I rely almost entirely on the raising dead. Perhaps once you get a 3 or 4 settlement province really highly maxed out, then it's maybe not bad to quickly pump out, I don't know, like 8 or 10 fairly high level expensive elite troops, that sort of thing, but I wouldn't bother that before maybe turn 50 or so. If maybe later.
Thou shalt treat me with the respect I deserve.
War or peace? What do we got? Okay, non-aggression. We'll probably actually not take that because we don't want to piss off the dwarves. Okay, so I bought Jacob a couple more things, but it's saying that we're not going to hold this one. There's not much point in auto-calcing if we're going to lose, unless you're just totally going to lose. In this case, we might be able to take this. He doesn't have enough heroes to sort of bully our lord and dunk on him really quickly, even though our lord is unfortunately level 1. His troops are all unleveled. A lot of them are pretty crappy. You know, spearmen, not brilliant, even versus skeletons and even versus zombies. With the advantages of the settlement, I reckon we might actually be able to hold this one. So I'm not so worried about his archers. His cavalry could be a problem if he uses them well. Okay, so we've spread our very large army all the way out, but we've put most of our striking forces here, where he's got his mortar and one of his generals. I want to take that mortar out because we're going to have lots of big grouped up units, and then the mortar could actually do some real damage. And we want to take this lord out while he's here. So our fast things can take out the mortar and the archers, no problem. And I think we've brought enough skeletons, swordsmen, and I think we've got a unit of wraiths in there as well. Yeah, we should be able to take out these two pretty easily and beat up this lord. Meanwhile, most of his stuff is over at that entrance, and hopefully he tries to cavalry rush our spearmen. Yeah, we've got our spearmen up front, braced and ready to take that. In all the other entrances to the base, we've just got zombies choking up the passageways. Zombies aren't great, but they do hold. You know, unless they're up against something like Savage Orc, something that just really does huge amounts of damage to infantry. Zombies stand there and take a lot of punishment, and as we can start buying archery towers, if they stop shooting into the buildings, then that might be okay. Yeah, so those little towers will just keep picking away at those guys while the zombies hold. Get some more towers as it becomes available. That fight's going to take quite a while. So that's still holding, but with some rear charges, you should see their morale plummet pretty quickly. Get those wraiths in nice and close to spread their terror. About all our lords got going for him is soul drain, bit of healing. Take them buy a barricade here that'll give some regeneration to our troops. We could just let those archers exhaust their ammunition on us, but let's try to at least give them worse shots. The more distant they are, the more they'll miss. And we'll get this tower to fire back at them. We can get another tower here, but we don't have enough money. Okay, this Pistolier's not so worried about them, although they'll probably exhaust all their ammunition and wipe out at least one unit. We have some reserves that we've been holding back, just deciding where to send them. Okay, so our initial sally has taken the field there, and has freed troops up to come around the rear of their main push. Still haven't actually killed their lord yet. Okay, zombies holding. Backup is ready to go. So that's all good. Towers will continue to blink away and do damage at the enemy. So I don't know if... I don't know, maybe some of those shots will get caught by those buildings. It looks like they're not. As soon as that archery tower comes online, we'll start winning that side. We can get another tower as well. Let's pack some men in behind these guys. Yeah, so those pistoliers are doing okay damage. But at the same time, they've also used more than half of their ammunition, so it's just not really worth shooting at zombies. I mean, if you have ammunition talents and things like that, to get a lot more, but as it is, those guys could fire all their ammunition at zombies, then if they charge in, 2 units of zombies would still probably kick their butt. Like, because you have an entirely fresh unit that they haven't even shot at. Okay, these guys are starting to rout just from the archery towers shooting at them. Things are a bit more dicey up here, but just as our line is starting to waver, our reinforcements have arrived. And these are actually skeleton warriors, so they've got shields and everything. We have more money for more towers, because we've been holding off for quite a while.
Time to feast.
I sent my lord back to stand near one of the regenerating barriers we can build as undead, because he doesn't have a whole host of his regen powers yet, being level 1. Okay, well that's going very well down there. So they're about to wipe out a unit, but we've got a totally fresh unit behind them. Another advantage of having lots of zombies or skeletons on the field is that most of our enemies are probably exhausted by this point. And we have fresh units we've been holding in reserve. Later on, our skeletons actually get a technology upgrade where they just have perfect vigor and they do not get tired. So you can run your zombies in, literally let the enemy wipe out 1,000 zombies, but then they get all tired as you send in another 1,000 skeletons to fight them. Yeah, a lot of these units of mine are getting very tired. They've been in the fray the whole time. Okay, we're starting to chase things off, and there we go. I was about to send our lord in to fight theirs, but it looks like that last soul drain got him. Okay, so a lot of casualties on both sides, but we still have almost 2,000 men counting the garrison, and we have taken the field. Well done, Jacob. So he's a bloodline lord, which the main advantage of that, I would say, is he starts as immortal. So even if he gets to level 7 or 9 or 12 and then gets killed, you can just pull him back onto the field again later. Very big deal. I mean, if you're getting your lords killed, it's a big deal. Okay, so now, rather than holding this flank, since the enemy exhausted themselves against our walls, we're going to summon a brand new army and push out an attack. Jacob should be in range to attack Averheim, and one of our armies up north can do a march south to reinforce. Given that the enemy's armies are also in march stance, that's not going to be so bad. Though this time we'll be up against proper castle walls.
You dare. It will be a mass grave.
Okay, so that's calling that a close defeat, which is better than the last one, which said a valiant defeat. We'll see if we can join up a few more units, hire a few more dead, first, let's get Isabella to attack, what's that, Flensburg? So at the moment she's got Vlad and 4 vampire ladies with her. We are going to slowly increase that number across the campaign. Okay, close victory. We'll take a close victory. We don't mind if we get a little bit injured. They can sit there and heal. We got pretty good healing. Okay, let's put this last vampire in. Probably won't change the battle too much, but we want them to get experience. So yeah, you can see when you go to auto-resolve, the red flashing units are going to die. Although with undead, you've got a chance of getting some of them back anyway if they die. Plus, they're often expendable.
Bring me flesh to craft.
Okay, so let's merge these units. I find the autocomplete really doesn't like injured units. Then that could just be my perception of it, but it heavily disfavors units that start the battle damaged. It's like we can even actually fire these guys and pick up some new fresh stuff. Now, is that going to move it to a win on the auto-calc, or we actually have to fight this? Okay, we're going to have to fight. Now, we could attack, lose, probably retreat, summon some more guys and go again. That is a thing that you can potentially do. In this case, though, he's got 1 reinforcing army that's run and is half battered. Okay, it looks like his reinforcements are also going to be walking onto the field. I didn't consider that. Okay, that actually makes this a much more easy scenario. So he's got a tiny, well, he's got a moderate garrison force. And yeah, so over there, that red marker, that's where his reinforcements are coming on in about 2 minutes. So we're going to use our standard tactic. We're scattering our crappy troops around his walls, forcing him to match them with better troops. This time we might actually punch out the gates so they're, when we're ready to go in later, it's a little bit easier, but we're not going to go in. We're not going to climb the walls. Those are just a distraction. We've set up over here to wait for his army to come in, and now we're going to jump them as they come on the field. This is where you would Wind of Death them and just sweep the entire reinforcements off the field in one spell. We don't have Wind of Death yet, unfortunately. What we do have is fresh units going up against units who've run and who are at half strength. We've got terror-causing creatures. We've got their lord is almost dead anyway, so as soon as we snap him, they're going to get a big morale penalty for a while. This should be quite an easy fight. And that said, they do still have a lot of bodies here, but another advantage of fighting the other side of that, that as soon as they terror out, or as soon as they start to break, they're straight off the field, and we don't even have to chase them. Okay, so this is their second reinforcing army. Yeah, I mean, they've got knights and stuff, they've got things that are better than us, but if we can take their lord out, it's going to do it. There we go. Okay, so that's going to give them a significant penalty. Again, this is where later on we would have spells to lower their leadership and that sort of thing as well, and you can dump them all on and really just punish them. The best we've got at the moment is just sort of healing our troops up and grinding away. Those Hex Wraiths can start cycle charging in once they chase those knights off. And we're already seeing, there we go, we're already seeing banners start to flash and run. Our reinforcing army showed up as well, giving us more bats. So not that we really need to chase these guys when they're on the edge of the map like this, they just sort of vanish. Okay, so speaking about our reinforcing army, we can see over there, it's pushing up against the walls. Now, notice they don't even have that many troops over here to stop us, so we're going to actually climb the walls, we're going to punch through the gate, and he's going to be busy running his troops from the other side of the castle to this side. These guys have punched through the gates, so now that the enemy have pulled their troops away, or when they pull perhaps the last of their troops away, okay, those knights want to get stuck in, but that's fine, we'll grind away with them. Okay, bats take out ranged troops. Everyone else get ready to go in. So we just... I mean, halberdiers are a lot better than the infantry we're using. Let's heal these bats. He just doesn't have enough of them. Especially not when we've got a dragon, we can drop on top of them while they're fighting stuff. Okay, so now he's pulled a bunch of stuff away from the back door. So we can start sending our zombies in. They can either kill those guys, tie them up forever, or actually spread out and start taking points. You'd think zombies would be bad at capping points because they are so slow, but you do tend to have a lot of them, and you can just sort of sneak one or two off from an engagement, and they can go sneak off towards a capture point. So it does sort of force your opponent to, unless he's got a very fast mobile reserve to deal with them, which would be the best way. It does sort of force him to leave some units everywhere, but if he's got even like a unit of dwarf crossbowmen or longbeards guarding a point in case some zombies show up, well then you just don't go there, and your zombies have now traded out for much better guys. Okay, there we go. Plenty of enemies still left on the field. We didn't actually get around to taking all the capture points this time, but victory nonetheless. Okay, our lord only got 7 kills. Not brilliant, but he'll do much better as he starts getting more magic. I don't think we might not have won that without the dragon. It did a big help.